In this module, we will discuss and understand about the exploratory and descriptive research designs, by which you will be able to know the following aspects: meaning, definition and purpose of exploratory research design, major steps in exploratory research design or studies, advantages and disadvantages of exploratory research design or studies, meaning and nature of the descriptive research design, major steps in descriptive research design, advantages and disadvantages or limitations of descriptive research design. First and foremost one, we will try to about the exploratory research designs. Exploratory research is preliminary study of an unfamiliar problem about which the researcher has little or no knowledge. Though it is a separate type of research, it is appropriate to consider it as the first stage of a three-stage process of exploration, description and experimentation. In an exploratory design, a researcher uses his own imagination and ideas. It is based on the personal judgment and obtaining information about something. It is also known as formulative research, since this sort of research design will be helpful to formulate the research problem, objectives and hypothesis. Exploratory research mostly relies on secondary research, that is the review of available literature and or data, or qualitative research approaches such as informal discussions with primary and secondary stakeholders, project staff, donor agencies and more formal approaches like in-depth interviews, focus groups or case studies. Here the researcher is looking for unexplored situations and brings it to the eyes of the people. In this type of research, there is no need for hypothesis formulation, and for that matter it does not aim even at testing of hypothesis. According to Daniel Cudge, it just attempts to see what is there rather than to predict the relationships that will be founded, but it should be designed in such a way to provide definite information for the formulation of a set of research objectives. Here we will try to see major purposes of explanatory research designs or studies. Generally, these designs generate new ideas. They will increase the researcher's familiarity with the research problem. They will also make a precise formulation of the problem. These will be most helpful in formulating the objectives. Also, they will be much helpful in gathering information for clarifying concepts and also formulate research hypotheses, and finally to determine whether it is feasible to attempt the proposed study. Generally, the following three steps used to be followed in exploration: a review of pertinent literature, an experience survey, and analysis of insight stimulating cases. Firstly, a review of pertinent literature. This is the most widely followed step for identifying and formulating the research problem as well as for developing hypothesis. For this purpose, one should find out and read pertinent books, articles and reports related to the topic likely to be selected or under investigation, so as to get some leads and clues for carrying out the research in a fruitful manner. The researcher is also able to formulate workable hypotheses, as he or she will get an opportunity to identify the concepts and variables of interest in carrying this review out. Additionally, it will also enable the researcher to evaluate the hypothesis of earlier works as a basis for further research. In exploratory research, the second step may be an experience survey. This is the survey of people or experts who have had practical experience about the proposed topic of interest to researcher. Generally, informal interviews will be conducted with those persons who have experience by the researcher to secure insights into the subject and its various facts related to the topic of interest. Interviews will last for a few hours with broad questions which have flexibility to change, and they may be informed earlier to them. This type of survey may yield new hypotheses and information on various dimensions of the study, facilitates cooperation available for the study, and the factors need to be controlled. For example, in an exploratory study of problems related to rural development, persons like administrators, social workers, rural financial institutions, and village leaders need to be considered. The third step in exploratory research is an analysis of insight stimulating cases. In an unexplored area of study, an intensive study of some selected cases can yield stimulating insights. These sort of studies are usually conducted where there is little or no experience to serve as a guide. For example, the extraordinary theoretical insights of Sigmund Freud on human psyche were the result of his intensive study of patients. For this purpose, the existing records, if any, may be examined at first, and unstructured interviews will be more helpful, or some other approaches like observation and or case study may be adopted. The type of persons to be selected for this approach generally depends upon the topic under investigation. For example, in the case of exploring the effects of domestic violence on family members, one may consider a few women, family members or children affected by domestic violence, social workers involved, police personnel, and lawyers dealing with cases of domestic violence, etc. Now, we will come to the what are the advantages of exploratory designs. The first and foremost one is for research increased understanding of the topic. These designs will be much helpful. Next, for concept development and testing. Thirdly, these designs serves as an assistance to researchers for exploring theories or hypotheses. And fourthly, these designs are flexibility for data sources on the topic of interest. And these exploratory designs are adaptability to change, and also providing answers with regard to the feasibility, that is in terms of time and resources of conducting a large study. These designs will give you better conclusions, though not possible to generalize. Of course, like any other research design, exploratory designs also have certain disadvantages. Exploratory studies generate qualitative information, and the interpretation of such type of information is subject to bias. Exploratory research generally utilizes small sample sizes, and thus the findings are typically not generalizable to the population at large. The exploratory nature of the research inhibits an ability to make definitive conclusions about the findings. They do provide insight, but not definitive conclusions. Exploratory designs are flexible, but often unstructured, leading to only tentative results that have limited value to decision makers. Finally, these designs lack rigorous standards with regard to the methods of data gathering and analysis, since such designs also explore what method of methodologies could best fit the research problem. Descriptive research design. The descriptive study is a fact-finding investigation with adequate interpretation. In a descriptive research design, a researcher is interested in describing a particular phenomenon and or behavior of sample population. It covers the characteristics and materials of the people, such as their age, gender, marital status, religion, caste, education, occupation, personal and family income, etc. The qualitative nature of data, such as knowledge, attitude, beliefs, and opinions of the people, also will be collected. Descriptive research can utilize the elements of both qualitative and quantitative methods, often within the same study. The term descriptive research refers to the type of research questions, design, and data analysis that will be applied to a given topic. It often uses visual aids such as graphs and charts to aid the reader in understanding the data distribution. Descriptive design is also known as statistical research because descriptive studies report summary of data making use of measures of central tendency such as mean, median and mode, measures of dispersion such as variance and standard deviation, and correlation between variables. Now, we will see the steps in descriptive research design. There are 6 steps in descriptive research design. First and foremost one is formulating the objective of the study, then the designing the methods of data collection, third one is selecting the sample, fourth one is collecting the data, processing and analysis of the data, reporting the findings. The first one is formulating the objectives of the study. The second one is designing the methods and tools of data collection. In order to collect the data, the researcher has to devise the techniques and tools of data collection from the sample population, for which observation, interviewing and case study methods are the most used methods of data collection, and the observation schedule, interview schedule and questionnaire are the tools of data collection. The researcher has to decide to make use of one or more methods of data collection with suitable tools of investigation. Likewise, the questions in these tools will be straightforward and mostly structured in nature so as to collect the desired and appropriate information to the research work. Selecting the sample. Most of the descriptive studies are conducted among sample populations depending upon the topic and objectives under consideration. Generally, as a majority of the descriptive studies are quantitative in nature, probability sampling methods such as simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling and multi-stage sampling are used for selection of the sample population in the target population. The researchers should decide about the sample design in such a way that the samples should yield accurate information with a minimum amount of research effort. Next step in the descriptive designs is collecting of data. In descriptive studies, the researcher has to collect the data meticulously from the sample population with the tools and methods designed for that purpose. The researcher should take steps to supervise and monitor the field workers in case of large scale surveys and apply checks to collect accurate, error free and reliable data. The descriptive research design is the processing and analysis of the data. The collected data has to be condensed for processing and analyzing it so as to suit to the objectives of the study. As the collected data is both qualitative and quantitative in nature, coding, classification and tabulation are essential steps at this stage. Suitable statistics, mostly descriptive statistics, have to be applied to summarize the data so as to interpret the same and draw conclusions. And the last step in the research designs is about reporting the findings. The researcher has to report the findings of the descriptive studies to the concerned persons in an efficient manner. For this purpose, the researcher has to plan the layout of the report and see that whatever has been found in the study has to be presented in a simple and well organized manner. Now, we will discuss briefly about advantages of descriptive research designs. Descriptive research designs focus directly on a theoretical point. They are useful in verifying focal concepts through empirical observation. Further, these designs can highlight important methodological aspects of data collection and interpretation. Descriptive information may be useful for prediction about areas of social life outside the boundaries of the research. Descriptive studies are valuable in providing facts needed for planning social action programs. They are also effective to analyze non-quantified topics and issues. There is possibility to observe the phenomena in a completely natural and unchanged natural environment. These designs will have the opportunity to integrate the quantitative as well as qualitative methods of data collection. Well, like any other research design, the descriptive designs also have certain limitations and weaknesses. First and foremost one, the possibility of bias and subjectivity in data collection and errors in data and at times in reporting will be there. And the second one is maintaining confidentiality is another major weakness, as most of the descriptive research depends upon the respondents' truthfulness. Thirdly, a lot of variables are present in the natural setting. It is very difficult to establish the cause and effect relationships. Further, researchers would be able to study the situation and factors that exist at current or present conditions, but in reality the social problems are continuous and thereby have a past and future. And also researchers may tend to overuse statistics. Well, in this module the discussion is made about the different issues related to exploratory and descriptive research designs, like meaning and importance of exploratory and descriptive designs, steps in carrying out exploratory and descriptive designs, advantages and disadvantages and limitations of exploratory and research designs. Thank you.